At the beginnings of Auroville, and we're, I think, very privileged to have some of the old-timers here with us today. So we started on a barren plateau, and obviously there was no water available. So what people would do was walk or cycle or go by bullock cart for kilometers to actually get water to bring to the Auroville plateau. I read some accounts of where people actually used water they would find in some canyons and some puddles to kind of mix cement in to help with the building. So it was really like tough times, and this was a big part of this was because of water. So once bore wells started coming up, the development increased a little in speed. But before that, we had open wells, we had these hand pumps. The aquifers and the water levels in the aquifers were very shallow. So one could actually see water from the surface in the open wells. Nowadays, as Giulio mentioned, the water levels are 30, 40 meters below the surface, so there's no chance one could see the water in open wells. But back then, we had a lot of water available in the top layers. And a lot of reforestation happened. And everyone is familiar with these images, of course, but we had what is in 1970 and what we have now, which is a huge, beautiful, lush forest compared to before. So this was actually the first kind of water management strategy of Auroville, was to keep water on the plateau and stop it from running off. So this was through bunding, through check dams, through planting a lot of trees and preserving the soil, but this was all related to water and keeping water in the plateau. So working with the rain. We have an image here. This is from 1985, which shows how a canyon is full of water and helping this water to infiltrate in the ground. So then bore wells came, as Paul mentioned already in his presentation. Once the bore wells have been exponentially increasing over the past decades, or even in the early decades in Auroville. And this has really created a shift in our overall development in Auroville as well as in our surroundings. So as Giulio mentioned, we have over 6,000 bore wells in the area, and this was in 2006. So everybody has access to water. This creates a different awareness around how the land is used. So Paul mentioned the sensitivity to land and the kind of particular context that we're in. So now people have the ability to, for cash crops rather than other practices, which are local farming practices, which are more water saving. A lot of development, real estate, all these kinds of developments are happening, which are not that sensitive to water because they have this seemingly unlimited access. But as we've learned, it is limited. It's just a matter of time. So in Auroville, we've had a slightly different trajectory to our surroundings. So we have several good practices. We have our beautiful forests, which recharge the groundwater. We have several wastewater treatment plants and facilities. So there are a lot of initiatives as well, like botanical gardens, Pichandikulam, who do amazing work in renaturalizing areas. But as Giulio mentioned, we still have this trajectory of decline in our actual aquifers. And this is partially felt in the surrounding areas. So here we have an image of Chennai during the floods. This is Chennai again during the dry season. So it's either this huge excess of water or no water at all. This is an image in a rural area, and this is what it looks like on some of the farms in our surrounding area that are able to pump water in an unlimited amount because they have free electricity as well. So this really affects our area and Auroville. So what can we do is the question. And what do we have? First, let's look at what kind of initiatives and groups we have in Auroville that have grown organically that work with water. So we have all our kind of technical infrastructure groups or implementation groups that work on several layers. We have the water distributors, we have water service, road service, CSR. We also have L'Avenir and the water group. We have a TDC monitoring cell. We have some water users associations that kind of try to look at the decision-making around water. We have the forest groups and the farm groups and individual foresters and individual farmers who all have their different perspectives and ways of dealing with water. We have the Environmental Monitoring Service, which is a lab in Aurobillavan, A-Vision, the new lab that Alok has created. There's Aquadin, delivering water to many of the surrounding villages as well. There's Matrimandir and Varuna that have their own philosophy about water. Then we have lots of architects, consultants, engineers who all see how different ways in which we should manage water and different implementation strategies. We have our bioregional groups, Auroville Village Action, PVAC, Pondicherry Villupuram, Auroville Cuddalore Group, looking at the bioregional development. We have SLI. Then we have other projects that work with the outside more, botanical gardens, Pichandikulam, EcoPro. Then we have our actual governing groups, such as FAMC and Working Committee, who are also related to, to what we do with water, obviously. And then awareness-raising initiatives, as well as lots of individuals that are very action-oriented, some very practical people like Kirit, who would just go and create a landscape that preserves water. We have activists, practitioners, and there are lots of people I'm probably missing out in this whole deal. But this is a huge number of people. It's actually about 200 that I just roughly calculated, and I haven't counted their extended teams that are involved in all these initiatives. So do you think that all these 200 people have the same vision or idea about how we need to manage water and how we need to progress in Auroville? So we obviously don't. And finding a shared way forward is really important in this context. One that is agreed on by the larger community as well. And this really needs to move to this collective level for us to be able to move forward and work out something that can really help us and our surroundings in this situation. So yeah, working at the collective level is really a key. And this is where the Citizens' Assembly comes in and the idea about a vision. So a vision, I'd like to compare it to a ship navigating at sea. So it needs an orientation, and it used to use the stars, which is a nice metaphor for the vision as well. But somehow a concerted team, some people taking care of the course that we set in, other people rowing, other people, taking care of all kinds of other necessities that are there to get the ship moving and choose the direction that we go in. And for everyone to understand their role and in that functioning of this ship moving forward together. So what is a vision? Helen will talk about this a little more, but just briefly, a vision is a statement or an idea that is future-oriented, it's clear and brief, it's aspirational and inspirational, so it brings people together. It's setting a collective intention. And it can offer real guidance, so it's concrete, but it also allows for diversity. So you're going to be hearing a lot of different perspectives. We already heard 2 different ones today about how to manage water and what we should do with water. So we want a vision that is able to incorporate these ideas and what is behind these ideas, yet be able to also guide us collectively. And how can it really help us concretely? It sets a collective intention for the water players as well as the community. It can help direct action. It can help us with funding opportunities. It can help different water players and different people who might even just want to get involved in water by inspiring them and directing them. It also offers a frame of reference for decision making. And it brings people together, this idea of unity, but still having that diversity in there as well. So that's my part about the vision.